The unboxing is very simple. You have the usual paperwork here as well as a clear plastic case, which is a nice addition, and here is the phone. This cool blue surely looks good and has that nice letter pattern on the back even though it's plastic. You also get a fast 22.5 watt quick charge adapter along with its Type-C cable, which is definitely an upgrade. If you didn't know already, this phone has gotten a lot of attention recently because of the amazing specs and qualities that it packs into this low price point. It costs $129 sometimes. So in certain regions, prices are different and this phone's hyped up price tag is only part of their early bird promo. Of course, they didn't tell everyone when that promo is over, so people can rush and buy a lot of these, and by the time you're watching this, it's probably already over for you. But it's still pretty amazing that this phone was actually listed at around $120 on platforms like Shopee and Lazada. Many people have already purchased a lot of these for cheaper and plan to sell them at the normal price. So let's start with the build of this phone, which is pretty interesting. It's almost the same dimensions as the Redmi 9 that I also reviewed, and apparently the shape of it, the ports, and the speaker are also identical to it, almost. Compared to the Redmi 9, this phone is a little thicker by 0.5mm, and of course the main differentiator here is that huge triple camera module design at the back, which actually sort of resembles an Among Us character. The M3 also has dual speakers compared to a mono setup on the Redmi 9, and the blue finish on the back of this is also very nice. It's plastic but it sort of feels like leather. Definitely better than plastic. For me, even though this doesn't feel so premium, at least you get great performance with the chipset that comes with this device, which we'll talk about later. There is a bit of a camera bump like in every smartphone in 2020, but if you slap on the case then you won't notice that obviously. Let's move on to the display of this phone. The similarities with the Redmi 9 continue as this phone is huge. It has the same 6.53-inch 1080p IPS LCD panel, which isn't bad at all. It resembles some of the high-spec phones with the slim bezels and the dot drop notch. It's still Gorilla Glass 3, which will provide you with some good resistance to scratches. It's still Gorilla Glass 3, which will provide you some good resistance to scratches. This phone does have a bit of a chin though, but surprisingly, it's actually a tiny bit smaller than the one on the Redmi 9, which is interesting. That makes the screen to body ratio a high 83.4%, which is pretty good at this price point. Scrolling through your daily apps, watching videos on YouTube, and playing games are great for this large display, and when you pair that with this awesome and loud dual speaker setup, which is not at all that common right now, it gets even better, so overall I think that it's good. It still keeps the fingerprint scanner, but it's not at the back like most Xiaomi phones. Instead, it's actually integrated into the power button, which is a cool little bonus. It's fast and accurate, and for the buttons themselves, once again they feel very nice and don't wobble at all. As I said earlier, it has a Type-C port as well as the 22.5 quick charge adapter, which makes this package all the better. They still keep the headphone jack, which is also a nice feature to have in this world of wireless audio and disappearing ports. The battery is really huge, the largest I've seen. It's a 6000 mAh cell, and it's really good as you expect it to be. Can easily get more than 7 hours of screen on time here, and this might as well be a 2-day phone for some people who don't really use the most intensive apps every day. So now that we've talked about the good build, the decent display, and the great battery, what about its performance? Of course, it's not going to be the best, but it should keep up with some of the mid-rangers in terms of its speed. It has 4GB of RAM, as well as the Qualcomm Snapdragon 662, which is definitely better than the MediaTek Helio G80 on the Redmi 9. It handles almost all of your daily tasks, and for the average user, you won't really experience much lag at all. You can also definitely play games like PUBG Mobile, Asphalt 9 Legends, and Call of Duty Mobile without much issues. The storage is nice too. You can either get 64GB of UFS 2.1 memory or 128GB of UFS 2.2, which is a nice advantage in terms of loading times and transfer speeds. Of course, you get MIUI 12 straight out of the box along with Android 10. And yes, I am a MIUI fan because you just have these little extra features here that make the software experience a lot better. For instance, you have the video toolbox, which I use a lot when I just want to listen to some music or podcasts on YouTube while the display is turned off. Another one is the floating window tool. You can use it to open most apps as a little window on top of any app you're currently using, which can definitely be helpful in a lot of times. And of course, you have the fluid gestures to navigate through your apps, which I also really like. You do have ads, but putting on a launcher is pretty easy to make things a lot cleaner. Lastly is the triple camera setup. And once again, the best budget cameras out there are single camera setups like the Google Pixel 4a, the iPhone SE 2020, which just means that you shouldn't really expect a whole lot from this camera system. The front camera is decent, and the edge detection for portrait shots can be quite accurate in just the right lighting conditions. The main sensor is 48 megapixels, and I'd say that it's alright, but it definitely suffers a lot when you put it in a low light environment. It has okay dynamic range, the detail is good because of the high megapixel sensor, and the color is decent as well. The macro, you could argue, is alright because you can focus on things a lot closer, and for the depth sensor, I'm not really sure why it's there because I would rather have an ultra-wide sensor there like in the Redmi 9. But overall, the cameras are fine and you can definitely get some good results occasionally. So that's the Poco M3. Once again, I am very impressed at what they've been able to offer to us at this low price point. And even without the early bird promo, I think this phone will still sell a lot. The battery is amazing, the performance is great, the display is pretty good, and for the cameras, they're okay. I'm definitely excited to see the type of budget phones that they could offer in the next year, and things are only going to get better for this race to the best budget phone. Anyway, that's been it. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I'm trying to get to 300 subscribers now, so a sub to the channel would be very nice. Stay blue, my friends. Goodbye.